Hi everybody. Here at ActionBase we have an adaptive case management system. Adaptive case management systems are used to manage unpredictable, unstructured processes. These are the kinds of processes that knowledge workers do every day, usually using email and documents. One question we get from customers is, could you give us a real-life example of what you mean by an unstructured process? And that's what led us to create this video, where we're going to look at an M&A or mergers and acquisition process as an unstructured process and show how an adaptive case management system can make sure that the process works as expected and things don't fall between the cracks. A standard tool used during an M&A process is a data room, as a way to store and allow people to access various kinds of documents. And so we decided to actually put in a data room too, so that you can see how a real-life example would work, where we would use the adaptive case management system, ActionBase, and a data room together in order to manage the M&A process. Now, an M&A process actually works very different depending on lots of different parameters: the specific acquisition target, the acquirer, the people involved, and so on. And this changes on a case-by-case basis. So there are rules and guidelines and best practices involved in describing what needs to be done in order to do the acquisition. But on the other hand, every instance works differently. And this is really what happens in almost every process run by an adaptive case management system. There are frameworks, there are guidelines, but every single instance is going to work a little bit differently based on what the specifics of the actual instance are. So in this example, we'll do an M&A process using ActionBase as an example of an adaptive case management system and show you how it works. So to help you understand what you're seeing on the screen, I thought I'd give you a little bit background into ActionBase and how it actually works. Well, the first thing to understand about ActionBase is that it's actually embedded into your normal email and document systems. And we see it actually as the next generation of email and documents working together in order to help manage a case. So what you'll be seeing is within Outlook, there'll actually be something next to the inbox called an action box, which is where you put your action mail or your business class email. So within your action box, you'll actually have a single line item for every process that you're taking part in, either that you own or you're just participating in. And when you open it up, you can see under the covers everything that's related to that process. So you open it up like a regular email, and you'll be able to see a complete audit trail of everything that's been done. But if you just leave it as your single line item, you'll actually be able to see things change. You'll be able to see it move from in progress to complete, or turn red if there's some error involved, and very quickly ascertain what is the state of that process. The second main component of ActionBase is the Action Doc. What this actually is a document that lets you manage and track various processes that are related to the document itself. So you can take a regular document, either in Word or Excel or PDF, and then you can mark it up in order to allow it to kick off various processes. And not only that, you can actually manage and see those processes. The easiest way to think about this is that every single process that you're marking up within the document, there may be multiple ones within the document, is kicked off as an action mail, and that action mail is managed as a process. Action Docs actually allow you to get information back regarding the processes that have been kicked off. You can request a report from any action doc, and it'll show you the exact state of all the processes involved with that document. For example, you can see whether things are completed, in progress, who's doing what, and so on, and know exactly what's going on with everything related to the document. While I've been talking, our investment banker has been getting ready to run this M&A process. We'll see him start within the data room by using template documents that he's put up there earlier. So within the data room that the investment banker is using, we'll see that there's already created templates around M&A processes. These are ways that he's like to go about doing these kinds of processes. So he's going to take one of those action doc templates, and he's going to tailor it and make it a specific action doc so that it can be sent out to the people involved. By creating this list of people involved, he's created a sort of white list of people that are easy to get to and are part of this process in a natural way. This doesn't limit you to those people being part of the process, but it certainly makes it a little bit harder to add people that shouldn't be involved. He saves the document, and now what he's done, he's actually taken and turned the template into a specific document that he can use for this process. So he's going to go and edit the specific information or the content of the document. He's going to add the list of who needs to do what, when it needs to be completed, and this is going to allow him to track and manage all these different line items or all the different processes kicked off by these line items in a single place within this action doc. He's going to publish this action doc, and what's that going to do is actually going to send off action mail to the appropriate people along with the document so that they know the tasks that they need to get done. Having completed the creation of the document based on the best practice template, he goes into the data room and he sees that there's now a new document there that's a kickoff document that has all the information about how to run this specific M&A transaction. So now we switch to the CEO's action box. He sees that he's received some action items from his investment banker. He goes in to see what's in there and he looks and sees what's requested of him. He answers that he has some information they think is relevant, but he'd like to make sure that it's actually correct. So he goes and responds to this action mail and asking whether or not this is the right information. Switching back to the investment banker goes now into his action box and he sees that he's received a response from the CEO. He looks and says, yeah, well, he understood correctly. Let me get back to him and make sure that he gets me the information that I needed. So what we've seen till now is the use of a best practice document to manage a complex process to make sure that everything that's supposed to be done is done and all the follow-ups are needed and nothing falls between the cracks. Now we switch back to the CEO. He goes into his action box and he sees that he received something new from the investment banker. He can see it's new because it's turned bold, so he opens it up to see what's new in there. When he opens it up, he can see that, yeah, he understood correctly. He can actually add the attachments that he thought were necessary to the action mail, which will also put them in the data room and send the response back to the investment banker. He also marks the task as completed so that the investment banker and everyone else that can see knows that he's done what he was requested of him and the tasks are complete. Okay, so now we switch back into the investment banker and he opens up his action box and he sees, because it's turned bold, something new has been received from the CEO with respect to the kickoff. He opens it up and he sees that the CEO has responded and put the attachment he needs to do the rest of the tasks. So now he can start working on the rest. A week has passed and he opens up the document to see what are the status of all the different tasks involved in the kickoff. So by opening up the document, he can quickly ascertain what's going on with all of the tasks that have been actually created in that document. The way he does this is he asks the document to give him a report on everything that's gone on with respect to the different tasks or the different processes that were kicked off by the document itself. He goes into the Process Explorer and he can have a nice visual view of all the different tasks. Now all the green ones are complete, so it looks like just about everything's done, but he sees that there's one thing that's not yet complete. He opens it up to see exactly what that task is, and he sees it's the request from the CTO to create a demo that he can use for the different potential partners. Now switching over to the CTO's action box, he sees that he received something from the investment banker. He opens it up and he sees that there's actually something wrong. He hasn't completed the demo. But actually he has, he just didn't notify anybody about it or he didn't put it into the data room. So he goes into the action mail, makes sure that he tells everyone that the thing is complete. He adds the demo to the action mail, and which also puts it into the data room, and he marks it as complete. Now switching back to the investment banker, he can go in and ask for a report on everything that's gone on as a result of this document, and he can see that everything is complete and go on to the next steps. In the meantime, the investment banker has created the documents he needs to send out to partners and put them into the data room. He now wants to make sure that what he created was correct and acceptable to the company, so he wants to send that information out for validation to the CEO, CTO, CFO, get feedback and make sure that he's put everything he needs in there. So he actually creates an action mail to send to those parties. Now we switch over to the CEO's action box, and we see that he's received from the investment banker a note about the files that he's put into the data room, asking him to validate and make sure that it contains the information needed. Now we go back into the investment banker. He opens up his action box and he can see that everything relative to the kickoff is now complete, and he can open it up to make sure the details and see the details of everything that was done. He can see that the demo is complete, so he has all the information that he needs in order to get into the next step. All he needs is validation of the documents. A day has gone by and the action banker goes back into his action box to see the status. What he sees is that the validation step is complete and he can move on. He then goes into the data room and uses a template that exists there to create a list of potential partners. This list of potential partners will be created in an action doc, in this case an Excel action doc, where he puts the names of the people involved, the company name, and the contact person email. This will be used to generate the emails that get sent off to these people and help him manage the process as it goes on. We can see now he's creating the list, and once the list is complete, he'll be able to publish it and send emails to the people involved. So now, just finishing up the list of potential partners, he goes in and takes the Excel document or the action doc and he publishes it. What this does is generate the specific emails to the parties involved. Even though this gets sent as a regular email, when the responses come back in, he'll be able to see them within ActionBase and manage the partners and see who's accepted and who's declined. What we've just seen seems very simple, using a checklist-like mechanism to help manage the process. But this is a very powerful notion in adaptive case management, and checklists have lots of value in managing unstructured processes. So now we're going to switch over to Rob, who is a potential partner. Now, of course, he doesn't have ActionBase, so he receives the mail in his regular inbox. But you can see it's a special kind of mail where he's asked to respond, complete, or decline. And he's actually going to decline because this doesn't happen to interest him. And he's going to send a note back. And this isn't going to go back into the natural flow of the action-based process for the investment banker and the rest of the team. So now we're going to switch to Ronnie. He's another potential partner. He too doesn't have ActionBase, so he receives it as a regular email. But he is interested in the deal and finding out more. So he responds back to the investment banker asking for more information, specifically an NDA, and this will go back to the banker as part of the ActionBase flow. So he will see it in his adaptive case management system and can manage that response. So now we switch back to the investment banker. The investment banker, of course, is interested to see what's the status of everything that have gone on and sees that there's actually been activity with respect to this process by turning bold and sees that some things have declined, some things are in progress. So he opens it up to see exactly what's gone on, to see more details, and he sees that there's someone that's declined and that there's one in process. So he opens it up to see an overview, and he wants to see what exactly is happening with this one that's in process. He sees that it's an email from Ronnie, who's asked for an NDA. So he takes it and creates this action mail, adding the information that Ronnie requested, an NDA, and sends it back to him as part of the process. Now, having sent the information to Ronnie, he decided it's a good time to get back to the board of directors and to the company itself about the progress with the process itself. So he decides to generate a report of all the activity that's gone on around this process and send that report to the people that are interested and relevant so that they can see where things stand and what's been going on and how the process itself is moving forward. And there you have it, an adaptive case management system like ActionBase being used to manage a very unpredictable, unstructured human process like an M&A process. It helps manage the process by making sure that all the handoffs happens, giving someone the control and visibility to everything that's going on to the process, and generate reports showing where things stand and get people involved. What's happening under the covers also is being created a system of record that keeps all of the information relevant to the process itself. So in the data room, there's the documents, but within the adaptive case management system of record, what we actually have is a log of all of the interactions, everything that's been done. So if you ever need to go back, validate, see, check, or understand how things move forward, everything is there, and you can get the appropriate reports and get the information out. Thanks for your time, everyone, and if you're interested in learning more, you can always go to www.actionbase.com and find out a lot more about the ActionBase system and adaptive case management in general.